Hey friends, if we haven't met, I'm Suzy Lolley, and I'm so excited to be sharing with you today how to save yourself from too much grading. I blog over at suzylolley.com, just like it says in the bottom corner of this screen, and my mission there is four-pronged. I'm all about helping you find your more student engagement, more time, more from the technology you have, and most of all, more hope. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy this video. I believe in being practical, so let's just get to the chase. First of all, if you're trying to save yourself from grading, let's think about this. Does everything have to be graded? Now, I've been a public school teacher for 16 years, 11 of those in middle and high school English, which is the worst, the Hades of grading, if you will. And then 5 of those as a technology coach where, yeah, I've been delivered from some grading, but I've still had to do some checking off of adult assignments, which actually can be worse. But anyway, does everything have to be graded? I want you to think about that question. How many times have your students forgotten about an assignment that you really worked hard on, you've told them to work hard on, and when they got the grade back, they're like, oh, I didn't even know this was still coming. Have you ever, had that experience? I know I have. And guys, I taught up to the 12th grade. There were times when they honestly did not care if they got a grade back on something. It didn't matter to them. So I want to start with saying there's a file called File 13, aka the trash can. And if there's something where they needed to do it, it was important for their practice, but it does not have to be graded. It's not going to be some, milestone toward their greater development. Trash it or recycle it if you're earth conscious, which is very important. Second, why can't they present to each other? Use some peer grading. As long as there's an audience, does there always have to be a grade? In my 11 years of being with students, all different grade levels, 8th grade and up, where you'd think they'd be more conscious, I'm telling you, I didn't get questioned all the time if I didn't put a grade on something. So as long as they have some kind of feedback, some kind of an audience, there doesn't always have to be a grade. So I want you to think about if there are times when students can either look at each other's work for no grade or you can recycle it. Also, there were times when I gave my students, for example, a multiple choice test, and then I would have a couple short answers at the bottom. I'm going to let you in on a dirty secret. Number 1, I ran the Scantron through, and that's exactly what grade I put in the grade book. Number 2, that means I did not grade their essay questions. I know that's terrible, y'all. I was an English teacher. I graded plenty of essays. I graded plenty of writing, but I didn't have to grade it on every single assignment. So maybe there are times you can just give a partial grade, and they don't know the difference. 75, 82, 96, done. And all I did was grade what came through on the Scantron or on the multiple choice. Next, I want to talk to you about stamps and check marks. Have you guys ever done I used to have a little happy stamp, and I've got a picture I'm going to show you in a different video, but I just had a little stamp that said, way to go, smiley face. It wasn't a grade. I stamped it on the paper. Actually, sometimes I did use that. If they earned an A, I also gave them a smiley face stamp. Yes, 12th graders too. But a stamp or a check mark just to acknowledge what they did, sometimes in a student's mind is just as good as having a big grade. If you like the idea of the stamps and the check marks, I have 2 resources you can go visit. Number 1, if you'll go to suzylolley.com, which is right on the bottom of this, right on my homepage, you can subscribe to my blog. And I made a video that I'm not going to show anywhere except to the ones who have subscribed. And it's going to tell you 3 specific ways to save time with grading, including that check mark system. So I want you to tune in there. As far as stamps go, stay tuned because I have a video coming out for that. Let's talk about them grading their own papers. Now, I don't know about you. I am a child of the 80s, and I went to middle school in the early 90s. And in the 90s, we got green pens in science class. I still remember being in Miss Inslee's class. If she ever sees this video, I'd love that. I don't know how to get in touch with her. But in her science class, we all graded in green pen, which just meant that you could not write in green pen. So she would, when it was time to grade, we would trade papers. We would grade in green pen, and then wait for it. We would call out what our partner got. I know that's not a thing anymore, but back then I guess we just weren't as sensitive. I don't know. But we probably can't do the peer grading thing anymore. You can't give peer feedback, but as far as giving a grade. But here's what you can do. You can do self-graded. Again, I taught middle and high school, so if they were going to cheat, it would have been my age group, probably not the 2nd graders, okay? So here was my method. It was really simple. Every time there was something that I felt like, you know what, this has enough objectivity to, where there are certain answers that we all are going to have the same information, that this is one of those grade together assignments. So I would tell them, I say, drop your pen or pencil on the floor. I want to hear it hit the ground. And I said it just like that. I don't know why I said it with that weird pause. I would then have them take out a highlighter, trade pens or get a different color, or they could come get a highlighter from me. And then we would do what I call the completion versus accuracy method. So I'm going to say, for example, poetry packet. I did poetry with my 8th and 9th graders, and it was a very kind of a basic packet where you either knew it or you didn't, that fill in the blanks kind of a thing. And so what I did was I created a key, and you can see this on my Teachers Pay Teachers store. That's not a plug. You get the video for free. But I did demonstrate this in a little more detail there. But say that there was a big packet and it had maybe 10 pages of stuff, okay? All those questions, 100 and something questions. I used to sit there and grade all those packets. And then I learned better. And when you know more, you do more. Or when you know more, you do less. Let's say that. So what I did was I would just put a key up on the board for, say, the top 30 answers where I knew, again, that they would all have the same thing. Those were the ones they took the highlighter and they marked, excuse me, they marked all the questions they skipped wrong. And then they would go back, and if there were any that they didn't skip but they got wrong, they would mark those out with a highlighter too. The rest of it was just totally for completion. I asked them to do 150 questions, but as far as accuracy, I don't have to grade 150 questions. And because they were grading it themselves, there was no privacy issue whatsoever. Win, win, win. Win for them, win for me, win for privacy. Let's talk about the paperless classroom, y'all. I'm going to be honest. I was an English teacher. I'm now a technology coach, and I should be saying things like, go paperless, don't kill another tree. And I do believe in saving the forest and all of that stuff. But here's my philosophy. My philosophy is not paperless. Mine is less paper. I think there is something about having a pen in your hand or a marker if you're like me and you love colors. As you can see by my slides here, I do love a lot of colors. But there's something about that tactile response, which you can do with digital ink. But I know a lot of schools still don't have the supplies to do digital ink with their kids. So you don't have to go totally paperless. But to save time when you're grading, I do recommend that you go less paper. I was one of those, like I said, I taught English, and I remember when Turnitin.com came out with comments that you could reuse on papers, and I could have, if I wanted to, I could have graded everything on an iPad. I had a classroom iPad that I got through a grant, but I just, for some reason, it made my eyes hurt to be on the computer that much. I didn't enjoy that, but here's the deal. If that works for you, I've got some favorite tools on the screen here. You can use Word Online or Google Classroom to give comments. It can be a two-way dialogue. They can write comments, you can. They can even share their paper with a peer reviewer and get comments that way, which I love. I have gone into, if you subscribe, the reason I'm kind of mentioning some different videos here is because I actually, like I said at the beginning, I have 4 pillars to my blog. I've got how to, more time, more out of your technology, more student engagement, and more hope. So for a couple of those different pillars, I've made videos where if you subscribe, I can tell you more information. But on one of my subscriber videos, I talk about specifically how to add comments in Word Online, how to add them in Google Classroom. So if you want that, dive in. Coming soon, actually in about 3 weeks, I'm going to be releasing a video on something that my friend Lee Coker, so shout out to him, showed me called Annotate Pro. Annotate Pro not only lets you leave comments, but it allows you to save comments. And then, from my understanding, I'm going to dive into it just for that video, but it's kind of a floating toolbar where I can go anywhere. So if you use Canvas Learning Management System or you use Google Classroom or Word Online, you've got this toolbar of comments that you can then save and put where they need to go. So I can't wait to give you guys a tour of that in just a little bit. So again, if you want a deeper dive, wait for the Annotate Pro video, but also subscribe. Please subscribe so that I can send you these other videos. I want to end with some specific tips for grading writing. Again, this is on that subscriber video. I'm releasing 3 ways to save time with grading, and there's specifically anytime you have to grade something that's a lot to grade as far as writing goes. But I want to share this tip I did not share in that video, and it's, again, English teacher here, and I felt, especially my first year teaching high school, I had taught 8th grade for 7 years, and then moved up and taught high school for my last 4, and I was told specifically like I had to grade all this grammar, and we were having them write, I can't remember, it was like maybe 3 or 4 big papers a quarter. It was a lot that first year. What I learned was after the first year that maybe some of the things I thought were required weren't really totally required. And so what I did was I just decided that, yes, I would grade for grammar. In English, you've got to grade for grammar. It's ridiculous if you don't. But I would choose a paragraph or let them choose a paragraph where I was going to grade it for grammar. Now, I talk about specific ways to grade writing in the English classroom on my podcast. Now, my podcast, I've got to focus on one thing at a time, people. My podcast has 4 episodes only, but they are really good episodes. And so if you'll go look up the Suzy Show on iTunes, you'll see my little Bitmoji. Then I talk about specifically saving time in the English classroom. I want to also say this, which I reiterate in that subscriber video, that you can't focus on everything in every paper. If you try to grade all the grammar, all the spelling, all the punctuation, all the content, every thesis statement, every supporting detail, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You can do it, but you won't have a life, and the people around you won't like you. So save your spouse, save your children, save your friends by slowing down and thinking, what do I really need to prioritize on this paper? Okay, friends. So thank you so much for joining me here tonight. If you haven't subscribed, would you do that for me, please? It would really help me get the word out. And then, I don't know, you could share this video and say, there's this girl, Suzy, I love her. Word of mouth is my favorite. And if you do share, who knows, I'm going to get some stickers made. If you're a sticker person, I have mine on my kayak, but you might have yours on your laptop. Let me know, and I'll be happy to send you a sticker. So here's how you can do that. Leave me a comment at SuzyLolley.com. Tell me why you love the video, what was special about it. Tweet me at Suzy Lolley. You guys, I'm being really redundant here. And then you can go to Facebook.com/TechLolly and you can leave me a comment there. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below. And then if you want to know every time I go live, just click the little bell. My plan is to go live every Tuesday with a new video, and I can't wait to see you.